I've done some dumb things for my YouTube channel, but this was next level. Exploring an abandoned hospital? Alone? At night? It seemed like the perfect idea at the time. The kind of eerie content that would blow up and get thousands of views. I'd seen other creators do it, walking through decayed buildings, catching spooky sounds, sometimes even claiming to see something paranormal. I figured, why not me? I had a decent camera, a flashlight, and way too much confidence. The hospital had been shut down for years. A relic of the past, sitting on the edge of town like a rotting corpse no one cared to bury. The place was massive. Cracked windows, ivy crawling up the walls, and the kind of silence that made your skin crawl. I parked a few blocks away, just in case anyone decided to check on the place. The last thing I needed was getting caught by the cops for trespassing. I threw my camera bag over my shoulder, took a deep breath, and walked toward the building. The entrance wasn't hard to find. The front doors had been ripped off their hinges long ago, and I stepped through into a wide, crumbling lobby. Dust covered everything, the floor littered with broken glass and debris. My flashlight beam cut through the darkness, showing peeling paint, faded signs, and doors that seemed to lead nowhere. I turned on my camera, started filming, talking to it like I had 1 million subscribers instead of a few hundred. "Alright, guys," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "We're inside the old Mercy Hospital. Been abandoned for over 2 decades, and I'm here to see if I can catch anything strange. Let's see what we find." As I walked deeper into the hospital, the silence grew heavier, like the building was holding its breath, waiting for something. Every creak of the floorboards, every drip of water from some unseen pipe made me jumpy, but I kept moving. The flashlight flickered a few times, and my heart skipped a beat, but it stayed on. The hallways seemed to stretch forever, bending and twisting in ways that didn't make sense. Doors lined the walls, most of them shut tight, but some hung open, revealing dark rooms filled with old hospital beds and rusted equipment. I panned my camera slowly, trying to catch every detail. Then I heard it. Footsteps. At first, I thought it was just the sound of my own boots on the cracked linoleum. But no, this was different. They were lighter, quicker, following just behind me. I stopped dead in my tracks, my heart hammering in my chest. I spun around, shining my flashlight down the hall I'd just come from. Nothing. Just the empty corridor, stretching out into darkness. I laughed nervously, speaking to the camera again. "Okay, I'm already hearing stuff, and I've only been here for like 10 minutes. Classic, right?" I kept walking, though my nerves were starting to get the best of me. Every so often, I'd hear a whisper. Not words exactly, just the faint sound of someone, breathing behind me. I'd turn quickly, shining the light in every direction. But there was never anything there. The thing was, I didn't want to leave. Not yet. I needed footage. Creepy, unsettling footage. That's what the viewers wanted. That's what would get the clicks, the subscribers. I pushed forward, deeper into the belly of the hospital. I found the main stairwell, the steps covered in dust and debris. There were signs on the wall, faded with age: ICU, operating room, morgue. That last one sent a chill down my spine. Of course, I decided to go there. The morgue was in the basement, because where else would it be? I descended the stairs, each step creaking under my weight, the air growing colder as I went down. The flashlight flickered again, and I cursed under my breath. "Don't you die on me now," I whispered, gripping it tighter. When I reached the bottom, the smell hit me. It was faint, but there, stale, musty, with a hint of rot. The basement was even darker than the upper floors, the walls closing in, the ceiling lower. I moved slowly, my camera capturing every bit of it. The morgue doors were rusted, but still intact. I pushed one open, the hinges groaning like they hadn't been moved in years. Inside, the room was surprisingly empty. Just a few metal slabs where bodies once lay, and those old, square refrigerators where they used to store the dead. I scanned the room with my flashlight. That's when I heard the whisper again, louder this time. "Get out." I froze. My breath caught in my throat. That wasn't just some random sound. That was a voice, clear and unmistakable. I whipped around, the flashlight shaking in my hand. But the room was empty. Nothing but shadows and dust. "Okay. I'm officially freaked out," I muttered, my voice sounding hollow in the dead silence. My heart was racing, my palms sweaty. But I didn't leave. Not yet. I told myself it was just the wind, the building settling. It had to be. There was no way I was hearing voices. I backed out of the morgue, keeping my light on the door until I was back in the hallway. The whispers stopped, but the footsteps started again. This time, they were closer, right behind me, almost in sync with my own steps. I spun around. Nothing. Again. But this time, I could feel it. I wasn't alone. There was something, or someone, watching me. I couldn't see them, but I could feel their eyes on me, waiting for me to turn my back again. I gripped the camera tighter, my hands shaking. "All right, guys," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I think it's time to get the hell out of here." I headed back toward the stairs, my mind racing, trying to figure out if I should run or keep filming. The air was thick now, oppressive, like it was pushing down on me, making it hard to breathe. The footsteps followed me, matching my every move. I practically sprinted up the stairs, the sound of my boots echoing through the stairwell. When I reached the first floor, I stopped, leaning against the wall, trying to catch my breath. The footsteps had stopped. For the first time since I'd entered the hospital, the building was completely silent. Too silent. I turned off the camera and started to leave, but then the curiosity, the need to know, got the best of me. I decided to check the footage. Maybe I'd caught something. Maybe there was an explanation. Maybe I was just losing my mind. I sat down on a broken bench in what used to be the waiting room and rewound the footage. At first, it was just me, walking through the halls, talking to the camera. Nothing unusual. But then I reached the part where I'd heard the footsteps. That's when I saw them. At first, I thought it was a trick of the light, maybe some shadow cast by my flashlight. But no, it wasn't that. Every time I turned my back, there they were. Shadowy figures, barely visible, but definitely there. They moved closer with every turn, every time I faced away. I rewound it, watched again, my heart pounding in my chest. The figures, there had to be 3, maybe 4 of them, were getting closer and closer, following me through the halls, up the stairs, into the morgue. How hadn't I seen them? How hadn't I felt them? They were right there, just out of sight. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the camera. I kept rewinding, trying to see their faces, but the shadows were always just out of focus, just blurry enough to be unrecognizable. Then, at the exact moment I'd heard the voice, the footage changed. The shadows stopped moving. They just stood there, staring at me from the corner of the frame. And I swear to God, one of them lifted a hand, reaching out toward me. I dropped the camera, my breath coming in short gasps. This wasn't real. This couldn't be real. But it was. I didn't care about the footage anymore. I didn't care about my channel or the views or the subscribers. I just needed to get out. My whole body was screaming at me to run, to leave that place and never come back. I grabbed my camera, stuffed it in my bag, and ran toward the front doors. I didn't care about being quiet. I didn't care about getting caught. I just wanted out. The hospital seemed to stretch as I ran, the hallways longer than I remembered, the doors further away. The footsteps started again, louder, faster, right behind me. I didn't dare look back. I couldn't. I burst through the front doors, gasping for air, the cold night hitting me like a punch in the face. I didn't stop. I didn't slow down until I was back at my car, fumbling with the keys, my hands shaking so badly I could barely get the door open. I threw myself into the driver's seat and slammed the door shut, locking it immediately. For a moment, I just sat there, my heart pounding, my mind racing. I glanced back at the hospital, the dark windows staring at me like eyes, watching me leave. I didn't wait any longer. I started the car and got the hell out of there. When I got home, I didn't watch the footage again. I couldn't. I stashed the camera in a drawer and locked it away. I tried to forget what I'd seen, what I'd heard. But every time I close my eyes, I see them. Those shadowy figures. Always just out of reach, always just behind me, getting closer and closer. I don't know what they were. I don't want to know. But I'll tell you this, if you ever think about exploring an abandoned place, don't. Some things are better left alone. And some shadows? They follow you. Even after you leave.